Okay, everybody, welcome to tonight's lesson of Keys to Consciousness. Um, we are going to be going over the hologenetic profile tonight, and this is my favorite part of the Gene Keys. It is always great to get to know yourself on a deeper level, and that is exactly what the profile did for me and many others. So the purpose of tonight is to go over what the profile is. My hope is that you will want to dive deeper to get to know more and experience the profile for yourself if you haven't already. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So more people may be joining. If they do, it will pop up on the screen. I think that you guys will see it. Just know that that's what it is. But let's go ahead and start. Okay, so first, for those of you that were here last week that are joining again, I always do like to cover just a couple of things. So we'll say like housekeeping items. So first thing, I would love to invite you to practice presence tonight. Wherever you are, take this time or this 30 minutes for you in order to really get to simmer in this beautiful knowledge. And it isn't that much time, right? It's 30 minutes for you. Hopefully, my wish is that it's uninterrupted time for you. And camera, you do not have to have your camera on at all. So that is something that I like to go over because sometimes being seen, right, it can be a little bit scary. I want these to be a space where you can come and just practice presence and take time for you. This is just for you and getting to understand more about the Gene Key system. So there is no expectation for you to be on camera at all. If you'd like to be, feel free. This is also something that I love to tell everybody in my sessions that I want to honor you for being here. The Gene Keys is not a system that appeals to everybody. And in my experience, it appeals to people that have been on the journey of awakening for quite some time. Not always, right? It could be something that you hear of right away and you are very interested in it as well. But take a moment just to honor you for wanting to know more about the system, wanting to possibly go on this new journey to dive a little bit deeper. But even just being here tonight, that is beautiful. And I want to take a moment to honor that. And then questions. As we go through this lesson, it is only 30 minutes, right? It's a very short time. So if you have any questions, I still want to make sure that those get answered. So feel free to utilize the chat for questions. You can drop them in at any time, and how they will be answered is through email. So if there are any questions, I will answer them later on through email, and we'll just send out answers to any of the questions that you have. So feel free to just drop those in chat as we go along. Okay, so hologenetic profile. This is just going to be a quick overview of what the profile is and also some insight into how you can use it. So how we like to look at the profile is as a compass. It is a compass of your inner being and your unconscious and your conscious patterns, okay? Natural patterns that you have. It could be a lot of it is from your conditioning, right? From the 0 to 7 years, the 7 to 14 years, and so on. So your conditioning is most of the time where you will see your natural patterns, right? What you saw when you were growing up. And these natural patterns are something that are referred to as shadows, gifts, and when you do the work, cities. Okay, so a city is basically your divine essence. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. We talked about that a little bit last week, but also just want to touch base on that right here. But we'll talk a little bit more about it. But these shadows in particular are what you can work with to experience transformation. And that really is a big portion of working with the hologenetic profile. So everybody has a profile, right, that is unique to them. And people can have the same exact profile. So if there was somebody that was born on my birthday and around the same time as me, we would have the exact same profile. It doesn't mean that as we work with the profile, we're going to become, right, the same person. We're all different beings, and we would all interpret and work with the profile differently, but it does mean that we would have the same shadow patterns, right, or the same gift patterns to transform and to work with how we felt was best for us. So when you are working with the profile, it is transforming your shadows into gifts, right? Unfilling those and finding the gift inside so that you can experience that transformation or that higher essence of yourself. Now, this is a journey of self-creation. So one thing that kind of clicked for me when I heard this explained is that it's already there. So everything to unlock within yourself is already inside you, right? We touched base on this last session, that everybody is their own genius, right? Everybody has something that they can cultivate within themselves and become a greater version and bring that to the world. And that is what this journey is about of working with the profile, is a journey of self-creation and igniting what's already inside of you. Just it's that compass, right, to help you, give you a tool to help ignite those stagnant areas within your DNA. Now, the shadows are your challenges. So how we would work with those, right, is looking at what shadows show up in our profile. So let me give you an example. One of mine is stress. And a lot of people can relate to this gene key, right? This is gene key 52. One that I always recommend that everybody looks at, because we all deal with stress, right? It's one of the natural core shadows that we all have. And as I go about my day, right, when I'm able to realize if I'm in a stressful state, right, my heart's pumping or I'm starting to yell or get frustrated, right, it is a part of my work to own how I'm feeling and then calm myself so that I can transform that stress into hopefully stillness, right? That would be the ultimate goal when we're working with gene key 52. And then the gifts and the cities. So I'll show you what those look like, but those are basically the higher levels of transformation. As we transform a shadow, we would say it moves from a shadow to a gift, which is just a higher frequency, and then from a gift to a city, which is the citic level, is like, we talked about also this last time, but like great sages, right? Those people that have been on the journey for quite some time to really do the work and increase their level in which they vibrate. So that really is your potential, right? You work with these shadows, understand the shadows, and see them activated in your life, and then work to change them and move the frequency that you're at to experience greater potential. Okay, so quick overview. And then where does this fit in? So I do like to touch base on how this fits in with what Richard Rudd teaches for the gene keys. So this is really his vision. I like to stay true to also what he created, and at times put my own spin on it. But this one is straight from him. So how it is taught is that your map is the gene key book, right? Your profile is your compass, like we've touched base on, and then the voyage overall is the golden path. So what are each of those? Well, the Gene Key book, there is a book that has all 64 gene keys in it that give a description of what does the shadow look like at this gene key? What does the gift look like? What does the city look like? So it goes very in depth, gives specific examples of how we can understand it better, each of our keys. So that there is a Gene Keys book, and that is the map. The compass, right, is our profile and shows us how do we navigate our particular shadows, how do we transform those into gifts, right? And what that will just help you to understand yourself better so that you can continue to increase your vibration, right? Continue to step into what you were here to do and bring true, you call, right, better relationships, living really a life of freedom and prosperity. And then overall, the voyage is doing the work, or what is referred to as the golden path. That is what Richard Rudd calls it. And that is basically looking at your gene keys in the book, reading through them, looking for them in your life, right? Using your profile in order to understand yourself better and navigate, see when you see those shadow patterns, work with them in order to hopefully eventually, right? They're not ever gonna, I don't know, become non-existent, but become less, right? So that we can remember to pause and be still and come back to ourselves. Okay. So let's get into how do we read our profile? I tried to keep this very simple because I do want you guys to, when you see the full profile, which we'll take a look at it, it can come across as a little intimidating, but actually it is quite simple. So here, when you look at your profile, you can see this image. You will see 11 spheres. So these spheres all signify they all relate to one of the sequences. So there's 3 sequences within the Gene Key profile, and that is the activation sequence, the Venus sequence, and the Pearl sequence. And I love the color of this image so you can kind of see like what is activation, right? What spheres belong to the activation sequence? You will see some of them overlap. And then also you can get a look at the pathways. So the pathways are these lines, right, from one sphere to the other that do have a certain significance to them. So every pathway will give you some sort of insight into your life to work with in order to become that greater essence, right, of yourself. Okay, and then let's take a look at the spheres. So in these spheres, there will be a name. So for example, this example is life's work. So we can see the name of the sphere. This is actually the very top one. And this is the sphere that generally most people start to work with when they are working with the profile. Doesn't mean you have to. You can start anywhere you want. If there's a certain name that calls out to you when you look at this sphere and you wanted to start with that gene key, you could very well do that. Any sphere that you start with, you are going to automatically, right, if you approach it with devotion, activate the other spheres and eventually light it all up, right? So name of the sphere will show. Then there will be a gene key number and always a period and then a line number. Now the lines also, we're not going to get into the lines at all tonight. There is a lesson that I will give on the lines, but there's 1 through 6. So there will be 1 through 6 of the lines, and then you will get your gene key number. Okay, so that is what, when you look at your profile as a whole, for this example, 54 would be the gene key, 6 would be the line number. Then you will also, so with every single sphere, see these 3 words. Okay, so the first one is the city, like we talked about. That is the goal, right? In working with our shadows, we want to transform the shadow to the civic level. The gift is still a raised vibration, a higher level of frequency. and then the shadow, right? So that would be the challenge, what we want to look at and what we want to work with in order to help ourselves step into our genius or our life's purpose. And then there will be a line keynote. Again, the lines are just 1 through 6, and that is just basically information for you to know the lines will be in every single sphere. Okay, the word will be different. So like this one for life's work, it would be line 6 is a teacher, or line 3 would be a creator. But if you look at another sphere, it wouldn't be the same verbiage right here. Okay, so the key, that's why it says line keynote, because the word actually changes. There's a significance to each of the lines as you move from sphere to sphere. Okay. Okay, so the pathways. I wanted you to be able to have an image of each of the pathways, and we're going to break down just one of them. So as we look at life's work, so that's this top sphere. It is connected, right, to the connected to one of the lines, which is, oh, whoops, clicked, didn't mean to. Okay, so it's connected to, we can see here, evolution. And we're going to talk through this one. So life's work is a sphere that tells you, gives you insight into what you came here to do. Okay, we all came here to do something. That is the purpose of the life's work sphere, to give you insight into that. Maybe something that you already know, right, about yourself, but it just helps give you insight. Then as we move to evolution, evolution is really what helps you bring what you came here to do to life, right? How do we evolve as beings? And the pathway of the life's work to evolution is called challenge. Now, when we work with the pathway of challenge, what we would look at is the shadows of life's work and evolution. Okay, so I did show these here on the image. So as you can see, right, gene key 18, the shadow is judgment. And it will pair with this shadow of evolution. These are basically partners in a sense. So this one is opinion. Okay, so judgment, we have judgment and opinion. These are the two shadows that show us our greatest challenge in life to help us evolve. So as you work with the gene keys, right, this is kind of how the pathways work. They will give you some sort of insight to say, hey, if you work with this shadow and this shadow, this is what you can experience. Okay, so these two being the pathway to challenge, this is kind of what you'll see will hold you back in life. So if you look at your profile, you can see most of the time you'll resonate right away with these two. Okay, and next slide. So this one is the profile as a whole. So I wanted to make sure that we touch base and give you a full view of what this looks like. And as you can see, it may seem a little bit intimidating, right? When we put it all together and we see all these words and these lines and these circles, right? And these numbers, it can seem intimidating. But one of the biggest things that I would want you to take away from this is that really it is that simple, that you could pick, oh, attraction sounds, that calls to me, right? What is my attraction gene key? Well, it's number 12. Okay, then if you wanted to dive deeper, right? You look at the book and you read gene key 12, the shadow, and you read the gift and you read the city and you let it simmer and you see how that shadow comes to play in your life. And from there is something called contemplation. And that is where the magic happens, is when we can get into contemplation. So there's a whole nother series that I'll go over contemplation and how that works. But this is the profile as a whole and just an overview for you of how you can work with the profile and what it looks like. Okay, So the words over here, you can see that this is stillness, right? So sticking with Gene Key 52 that we've talked about, stillness is the city, restraint is the gift, stress is the shadow. Here is my line, and then the keynote. So you can see, right, that it changes as I mentioned. So line 3, changer, line 3, energy and experience. So there are different insights that you get when you look at the lines of each sphere. Okay. And then also just want to touch base, the I Ching wheel is this wheel that we talked about last week, right in the background that you can see. I say last week, but I should say 2 weeks ago, last time. Okay, and then just to bring it home, right? When we work with any gene key, every gene key in our profile has a shadow, a gift, a city, and contemplation is how we work with these. So a definition here for contemplation is taking full responsibility for one's inner state, using everyday challenges for growth and transformation. So that is really how you can get started, right? Pretty simple. We look at the profile, we say, okay, what is the shadow of this gene key, right? And how do I see this show up in my life? Okay, and then that is, as you're contemplating it, right, and you see it show up, that's when you can start to transform that, right? It's not, you'll start to say, oh, I'm in a stressful state, right? This is not a good feeling. Pause for a second. Let me take a couple of deep breaths to help me reconnect with my body, to help me get more grounded. Let me take a walk outside and feel the sunshine on my face and just take a moment for myself. Okay, so that is what I have for tonight. Oh my gosh, 8:24. The 30 minutes always kind of gets me that I'm like, can I get through everything in the 30 minutes? But I did feel called to offer a special offer to you because as we are talking about, right, the profile, it is very exciting or intriguing to say, like, what is my profile? What are my shadows, right? And so I wanted to just offer something for anybody that was on the call tonight. So I'm going to offer 2 different things. The first one is normally it's $25. So for a profile pool to be emailed, I normally charge a $25. Tonight, I'm just going to charge 10. So it's like 60% off, $10. If you don't have your profile and you were interested in it and you wanted me to email it to you, I will do that for you for just 10 bucks. And then number 2 is a consultation. So this is the second thing that I offer with the Gene Keys is a 60-minute Zoom consultation where we go over your profile. So you would not only get a copy of it, but we would actually go over it together for 60 minutes and you would get insight into how do I start to really contemplate. So we go over contemplation a little bit more and what that looks like and how you can apply it in your day-to-day life. And then hopefully start getting you on the journey of using the Gene Keys. So if this is something that felt called, again, no pressure, just if you wanted to do it and this was intriguing to you, I wanted to make sure that everybody had an option, not just give you the information and then just leave you wondering what your profile looks like. So if this interests you, if you wanted to go ahead and drop your email just in the chat, and then just tell me what option you were interested in. If you're interested in number 2, I will reach out. If number 1 is what calls to you, then I just need your email and I will pull your profile and just get it emailed over to you by Wednesday. So just wanted to make sure that, again, I had something to offer you to make sure you could get your insights. So, and then I wanted to end tonight with the mission. This is exactly how I ended the last Keys to Consciousness call. And I just want to remind everybody of the mission of the Gene Keys. And doing the work and working on yourself, right? So this is an evolution of not just yourself, but all of humanity, right? And when we take a moment to pause when we are in experiencing a lower state, because we all do, right? Think of connecting to all of the people out there that are doing the work and pausing in the moment with you. How powerful is that? So this isn't just an evolution of you, right? This is an evolution of all of humanity, that doing this work, you can be a part of. The Gene Keys is just the vision here. So it's a way to help you and to guide you. It isn't something that you need to cling to, right? I don't want you guys to get your profile and then just cling to it and think like, this is going to give me all the answers and this is the way. Your profile is a guide for you, okay? Work with the Gene Keys. Let them have their way with you and leave it. It's just a guide for you. As you work with the Gene Keys, right, my hope is that you experience more love, more forgiveness, beautiful relationships that have stronger communication, and you can experience true freedom. And this work depends upon us, right? Humanity and the future of our race, I truly believe, depends on us. Right? We need more love in this world. We need more high vibrations. We need more people that are doing the work. So thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you all. I'm gonna play some music and just leave the chat up in case there's any other questions. I don't want to close out and give you the opportunity. So the chat will be up for like another five minutes. If there's any other questions that you have, I'll let you kind of simmer in this and you can drop those in and I'll just play some music for you. And then the next call is going to be on July 22nd, and we will be going over the 3 sequences. So thank you guys so much for being here. Have a lovely evening.